Welcome back. Did you know that this is the 41st segment of Making Sense for 7 Minutes, which is a summer-long series, which is Monday through Friday, where we are surveying in bite-sized pieces our historical narrative as given to us in the Bible, and that we're asking always the inevitably, immeasurably relevant question, so what? Now you do. The Incarnation, God in the flesh, Jesus Christ. The life of Jesus, God in human form, spanned 33 years. Had he lived a bit longer, say another 4 months, it would have been a record, 33 and a third. If he had lived a bit longer, potentially he would have marked a couple of more records, 45 and 78. But he didn't. Jesus lived on earth approximately 33 years, and those last 3 years were the years of his public ministry. During this lifetime, Jesus accomplished, not surprisingly, a whole bunch of stuff. In fact, at the very end of his gospel account, John says that he supposes that if every one of the things Jesus did were written down, that even the whole world would not have room for the books that would be written. And I want to suggest to you that everything that Jesus did can be placed under an umbrella comprised of 4 key accomplishments. The first accomplishment, Jesus reveals to us with the greatest clarity ever the very characteristic in the heart of God. Jesus reveals God to us because Jesus is God. Now, 2 key passages that document this are in the Gospel according to John, the 1st chapter, 1st verse, 2nd verse, verse 14. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. Paul, in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 21, says, he was the image of the invisible God. So, with that, let me tell you that I'm convinced that every characteristic of God that you see displayed, spread out in various sets of circumstances in the Old Testament, that you'll find them all on display in the life of Jesus. So, if you want to see with the greatest clarity the character and the heart of Jesus, of God, look at Jesus. The second accomplishment, Jesus models for us what it means to be human. When you're watching Jesus, you're watching someone who was 100% God and 100% human. That is the great truth, and that's the great mystery of the Incarnation. 1 Timothy 2:5 tells us that there is one mediator between God and man, the man, Jesus Christ. If you want to watch a human living and acting and reacting as humans ought to live and act and react in this world in which we live, watch Jesus. Now, again, 1 Timothy 2:5 says, there is one mediator between God and man, the man, Jesus Christ. And the great role that Jesus fulfills in order to be the one and only mediator between God and humans. That's his role. Because of the schism, because of the chasm that sin has created between God and us, we desperately need a mediator. And God has provided one. Now, to qualify for the role of mediator in our lives, Jesus had to achieve that third accomplishment, that of living a sinless and perfect life. Listen to what we're told in the 4th chapter of Hebrews, where it says that we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who has been tempted in all points as we have, yet without sin. Let us therefore come near to the throne with confidence that we may find grace and help and mercy in time of need. Note that Jesus was tempted in every way that you and I are, yet without giving in. Which means that when you and I go to him in prayer, we're going to one who has experienced the full and total scope of what it means to be human. Therefore, we go to someone who is empathetic with our struggles and our joys. And having been tempted, but never yielding, the stage was set for him to accomplish this 4th great accomplishment. And that is, he lived the sinless and perfect life in order to be, number 4, the perfect sacrifice for us. Paul, in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 5, verse 21, says that God made him, Jesus, who knew no sin, to be sin for us in order that we might become the righteousness of God. It's quite an exchange, quite a work that Jesus has done on our behalf. But it is an exchange. Becoming a Christian means that you give your sinful self to him in exchange for receiving him and his righteousness. Surprise, I'm over time. Thanks, y'all.